Somewhere in your family tree, probably more than once, one of your ancestors ate another human being. Not because they were starving, not because they were desperate, because it meant something. And this isn't speculation. The bones tell the story themselves. In a cave in Somerset, England, called Gough's Cave, archaeologists found something that changes how you think about the people who came before you. The remains of at least 6 individuals, adults, teenagers, and a 3-year-old child, dating back roughly 14,700 years. Every one of them had been systematically butchered. Cut marks from stone tools on the bones. Exactly the same kind of cuts they used on deer. Human teeth marks on the ribs. The long bones had been cracked open for marrow. And 3 of the skulls had been carefully shaped, hollowed out, and turned into drinking cups. Not weapons, not tools, cups. Someone sat in that cave 14,700 years ago and drank from a human skull. And the precision of the work tells us it wasn't an act of madness, it was an act of craft. But Gough's Cave isn't an outlier, it's a pattern. Let's go deeper, much deeper. At a site called Gran Dolina in the Sierra de Atapuerca in northern Spain, researchers uncovered the remains of at least 11 individuals of the species Homo antecessor, dating back roughly 800,000 years. That's not a typo, 800,000 years. These weren't modern humans, they were a different species of human entirely, and they had been eaten. The bones showed the same systematic processing, stone tool cut marks for defleshing, percussion fractures for marrow extraction, and they were mixed in with animal bones that had been processed in exactly the same way. These early humans treated other humans as food, just like any other animal. This is the oldest confirmed evidence of cannibalism in any human species, and it happened at a scale that suggests it wasn't a one-time event. It was habitual. But here's where it gets more complicated and more interesting. In 2017, archaeologist James Cole at the University of Brighton published a study in Scientific Reports that asked a question nobody had thought to ask. How many calories are actually in a human body? The answer? About 125,000 to 144,000 total calories. Skeletal muscle alone gives you roughly 32,000. Sounds like a lot, right? But compare that to the animals these same people were hunting. A single horse provides about 200,000 calories of muscle alone. A mammoth? 3.6 million. A human body is, nutritionally speaking, a terrible meal. You'd burn almost as many calories hunting, killing, and processing a person as you'd get from eating them. It makes no evolutionary sense as a food strategy. So, if it wasn't about the calories, what was it about? The Neanderthals give us a clue. At Moula-Guercy in southern France, researchers found 78 Neanderthal bone fragments mixed in with red deer remains, all showing identical processing marks: defleshing, marrow extraction, tongue removal. They ate each other the same way they ate animals. At Krapina in Croatia, hundreds of fragmented Neanderthal bones tell a similar story. Cut marks, breakage patterns, burning. Some researchers believe this site represents repeated cannibalistic events over time. At El Cedrón in Spain, a group of about 13 Neanderthals, including 3 children, were butchered and consumed roughly 49,000 years ago. DNA analysis suggests several of them were related. This wasn't war. This wasn't strangers. This was a family. But at some of these same sites, there are also signs of something else: careful arrangement of bones, deliberate placement, secondary handling of remains weeks or months after death. This doesn't look like survival, it looks like ritual. And this is the part that makes scientists uncomfortable, because the line between eating someone for food and eating someone for meaning is not as clear as we'd like it to be. Consider this. Across documented human cultures, cannibalism has appeared in dozens of forms. Endocannibalism, eating your own dead as a way to absorb their spirit or keep them close. exocannibalism, eating your enemies as an act of domination or revenge. Funerary cannibalism, consuming parts of the deceased as part of a structured mourning ritual. Medicinal cannibalism, which was practiced openly in Europe through the 17th century, where human fat, bone, and blood were sold in pharmacies as treatments for everything from headaches to epilepsy. That last one tends to surprise people, but it's well documented. European apothecaries sold powdered human skull as medicine for centuries. The only thing that changed was the label. So, when we look at a cave in England where people drank from skull cups 14,700 years ago, we're not looking at savagery, we're looking at culture. Complex, symbolic, deliberate culture that happened to include practices we find deeply disturbing today. And that discomfort matters, because it tells us something about ourselves. We want to believe there's a clear line between us and them, between the civilized and the primitive, between the kind of human who builds cities and writes poetry and the kind who cracks open a femur and eats the marrow. But the archaeological record doesn't support that clean division. The same species that painted the caves at Gough also ate each other at Gough's cave. The same genetic lineage, the same cognitive capacity, the same brains that would eventually produce language, mathematics, and philosophy were already at that point producing skull cups. We didn't evolve away from this. We just stopped doing it. And not that long ago, historically speaking. Some documented cases of ritualistic cannibalism persisted into the 20th century in isolated communities. The question isn't whether your ancestors did this. They almost certainly did, somewhere along the line. The question is what it meant to them. And the honest answer is, we don't fully know. What we do know is this. Cannibalism is not a sign of broken humanity. It's a sign of complex humanity. Every instance we found in the archaeological record involves intentionality, skill, and often what appears to be symbolic thought. These weren't mindless acts. They were meaningful ones. And that's what makes it so hard to sit with. Not that our ancestors did something terrible, but that they did it thoughtfully. The bones in Gough's cave weren't discarded. They were crafted. The skulls weren't smashed. They were shaped. Someone took time, care, and precision to turn another person's head into a vessel. And then they used it. For 800,000 years, across multiple human species, across every continent, the evidence is there. Carved into bone, pressed into the fossil record, waiting for someone to look closely enough to read it. Your ancestors ate people. Not because they had to, because it was part of what it meant to be human. And we're still figuring out what that says about us.